now we're going to show you what's involved with putting them together. It doesn't come in a package. Basically, we get a box like that. Stainless and zinc hardware here obviously are going to go on the back side of this mount, like so. Little touches like that you're not going to see on a lot of items like this or cheaper items. A fuel pump, if you want to do a coil. Not everybody wants a steel mount. Some people want something nice. Do you have any experience with wobbly racing poles on dirt dog scooters?
Is that a 2-pole or a 4-pole?
2-pole racing pole.
Spinny wheels or the sparkly wheels?
It's a wheel that spins.
How I would lay this out, sleeve that's got 2 C-clips on it. You won't need to take this out. So right now the C-clips are out. That's why it's moving back and forth. Roll this guy back like so. You're gonna leave this kind of loose. This part here.
Driving around the trailer with the pretty ladies in it.
They like the wobble because it gives them a little vibe.
Oh, yeah.
What do we got?
Ruckus mounts. Most are sold, except for 2. So I think, did we show people kind of what they were originally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you kind of saw what was involved with a little bit with making them in the process, but now we're going to show you what's involved with putting them together. Because when we get this stuff made, it doesn't come in a package. Basically, we get a box like that on the floor. Met the machinist last night at my house, gave it to me all, so everything's all bagged up individually. And then we get it, and this is 8 of 20, so this is just a fraction of it. The black ones are getting, they're anodized right now. We have to put all these kits together. So we get all the pieces individually, right? Lay it out on a table. We're using NCY bolts, which again, this is one of these things that's not absolutely necessary, but we feel it's nice with the kit that's gonna replace your factory bolt for your motor. So we have all the stuff laid out, and now what we have to do is go through and we have all the stainless and zinc hardware here, every little bit and piece. So what we have to do now is go through and assemble it as far as we can for you. So it'll probably take another 2 hours to assemble all this and then pack everything individually. And then, you know, we could send it out like this, but the problem is you're gonna be very confused with how to put it together. So like these plates obviously are gonna go on the back side of this mount, like so. And so that'll go like that. So what he did too, the machinist, what he did was pretty cool. Little touches like this, right? Really makes a big difference. Is he's got this lip here to make sure it's always aligned, and he stopped it right there. So little touches like that you're not going to see on a lot of items like this or cheaper items, because he definitely puts in a lot of work on the little things like that, right? You wouldn't think about that, but that does really help you keep this thing aligned when you put it together, and you're not going to cross thread it. So all the other things over here, all the other bits and pieces, we could have made these threaded holes to go together, but again, something the machinist thinks about is if you strip something out, then you're in trouble, right? If you have a nut and bolt, you just take the nut and bolt off or cut the nut and bolt off and your piece isn't damaged. So all this stuff is going to be nut and bolt for that reason. And then another thing we added to on the back side, these are your 2 arms that are going to basically be your 2 supports that go from the front of your frame to the mount. And we've got mounting holes here, and these are just for whatever you want. So we've got them laid out to do like if you want to do a fuel pump, if you want to do a coil or anything like that, you want to use straps to hold your wiring in on the side. So just another touch, and as you can see, it had to be twice as thick to allow for this area here, right? Because it couldn't drill through with all these recesses here. So a lot of extra cool things here.
What size bolt is that?
I think that's an M6.
Okay.
I think that's an M6. And we have everything. We're not going to include bolts for this because most of you guys probably won't use this, but it's going to be on both sides as an extra. So if you want to add stuff to it, you can, which is really nice because there's nowhere to really mount on that motor. There's nowhere to really mount your wiring, and it'd be nice to have a fuel pump. You could do a fuel pump on one side and a coil on the other, so it'll look really clean. Or just strap your wiring, fuel line, or whatever. So a lot of extra thought went into these pieces to get them the way they are. This thing, I mean, this is your back shock arm. It's just, that's going to bolt to your frame. That's going to bolt to where your shock normally is. I believe.
So it's not a
wait,
wrench?
I'm sorry. No, it's not a wrench. Upside down. That goes to your frame. That goes to your original shock location. That's where your shock's gonna go. So if you guys end up wanting a fatty or whatever, this is a piece that we have to remake for you. So if you want really wide wheel or weird offset, this whole mount can slide over. So that's not a problem. And everything is kind of modular where you can add spacers to shift it one way or the other. This is the one piece, right? Because that's where your shock is. So this whole piece has to move over. So if you end up wanting to do a fatty, you need to put this whole kit together, and then we'll make you a one-off arm for whatever your setup is, because everybody's setup is going to be different. Right now, you can buy this kit and bolt it in your Ruckus. No grinding, no welding, no machine work, nothing. You can bolt this in your Ruckus and then bolt in a Zuma motor. You're going to do your wiring and brakes and all that good stuff. But no grinding, no cutting, no welding, no machining, no fiddling. It's just everything's going to be here to do it. Pretty cool. So yeah, we only have 2 of these left. I don't know when you're going to post the video, but right now we have 2 of these left. They were pre-order, and then if the other ones sell, which I'm sure they will, we'll do another batch. But the price was pretty low right now. It's probably going to go up on the next batch because it's kind of like introductory price right now, and the cost of materials gone through the roof. Right now it's about $75 more than the only available mount, which is just like a weld together steel mount. Just fine, but this is definitely kind of like the next level of quality, and not everybody wants a steel mount. Some people want something nice.
Mess with those dirt dog scooters very much. What I would suggest is, it sounds like you were in contact with the eBay seller, and I'd probably go back and forth with him. I'm just not too familiar with those scooters personally.
Racing pole.
Yeah.
Pat may know. Hey Pat.
Probably.
Do you have any experience with wobbly racing poles on dirt dog scooters?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah?
Sure, thanks for the call.
I'll give him your personal number. Pat's gonna call him and fix him up.
I got a dirt dog scooter I got off eBay. I tightened one of the Allens too tight, and now I need a racing pole with a clamp.
Racing pole?
Uh-huh.
Is that a 2-pole or a 4-pole?
2-pole racing pole.
Okay. Does it have the spinny wheels or the sparkly wheels?
It's a wheel that spins. It has a little play up front.
Oh dang. Has
It's a
play?
brand new dirt dog, man.
I mean,
The-
if it's
the
within
X-Racer.
if it's within 6 inches, it's within spec.
But the thing is that wobbles when I ride it around my yard.
Yeah, it's
So
supposed to.
I was
It's
the
a
only
wobbly-
straight face.
It's the wobbly dog version.
No, it's the dirt dog.
Yeah,
I ride it in the dirt to the mailbox
it's
every
a
morning.
dirt dog because it's wobbly, so you get
Well,
dirty.
I can't be wobbling when I'm driving by the trailer with the pretty ladies in it.
They like the wobble because it gives them a little vibration.
You guys gotta stop.
Tyler, I'm gonna need you to be a little quiet, okay? I know that's hard for you, but just there. It worked.
Oh, did you mute him?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we're gonna go over first off what comes in this package and what it looks like, and we're gonna try to make it as simple and easy for you to understand what goes where, how it goes together. That way, when you get the kit, you can just watch the video and understand how it all goes. So first off, let's take a quick look at the kit and explain some basics. We are going to ship you these pieces together, and this one together as well, just like you see over here. This is how your kit's gonna come. It's gonna come with one side, the other side, the shock arm, some bolts, and it's come with this. This is gonna be installed when you get it. I just have it apart. And you're gonna get this bolt here as well with your clips and whatnot for your motor. You can kind of get a rough idea of how it works and how it goes together. The main thing I want to point out is you do have some adjustability in this mount. If you come up here to this section, you can see we designed this to be angled because you've got about 1.5 inches of room to slide this whole mount over. So if you want to run a fatty, you can slide this over. And then also here, if you want to slide it over, you literally cut this welded steel piece off your frame as much as you want. You can put it on the other side if you want, and this will slide over as well. Because as you see, you don't have anything holding you up right here and nothing holding you up here. So all this can slide over. And then down here, these two braces here, the braces come, they're 3 pieces. This is a spacer. Okay, so both sides have the spacer in it. So if you wanted to move this motor over this direction, you would take the spacer out of this side and you would have no spacer here, and you would stack it over here on this side. So you have 2 spacers here and 1 here. So if you wanted to move it over, you could get more distance that way as well. Also, down here, we've got 2 washers here and 1 on the inside, and that's gonna get it tied up against the frame. Same over here, 2 washers on the inside, 1 washer here, and you can get rid of these washers. You can stack them, you can move them back and forth. So you've got some room here, you've got some room here. So it gives you a lot of adjustability to be able to go whichever way you want with whatever setup you have. But as you can see, if you stand behind and look at the back, you can see the shock is straight, everything's perfect. This is just a YSS shock we just had on display that we're using. This is a Melosi RC1 case, but it's going to mount up just the same as your 02-11 Zuma, Blvd F12, Jog Vino. So basically any top mount Minarelli motor, this is going to work on this frame. Also over here on this side, actually you can better view it over here. If you want to shift this motor back more, and you want to move it back more and also change the shock angle, you simply take these 2 bolts out and you spread this apart, and you've got multiple locations to change kind of the pitch of how this motor's sitting in the frame. So lots of points of adjustments. You can get it kind of how you want it. You can get the angle of the motor a little more tilted down. You can get it flatter, however you want to do it. So you've got shock heights you can change. You've got your adjustments here, and this whole mount will just pivot back and forth, which is really cool. So yeah, when you guys get the kit, it's going to look just like this. And what I would suggest doing is start by just getting everything laid out and understanding how these arms, so if your frame's sitting like this and your motor's like this, both your arms are going to sit like this. So your nuts are going to be on the inside here. These 2 little tabs here end up right here on the frame. Okay, you can't, it'd be pretty obvious if you guys did something upside down or backwards or whatever, it's going to look pretty wonky, but these 2 guys slide in here. Very simple, very straightforward. I like to leave them loose because depending on how the angle that you want and how long you want this motor to be, you can change this to wherever you want. So they're just there, they're assembled. This is gonna come like this with the bolts in it. So what you're gonna do is when you get this stuff, first thing you're gonna do is take this apart, and then you're gonna start putting it on your frame. Obviously, when you have your frame here, your Ruckus motor needs to be out. This should be pretty clear. Your Ruckus shock is going to work. However, I would really advise a stronger, better shock. You can do 265, 280 millimeter would work. Depends on what kind of pitch and what kind of angle you want on the motor. But we're gonna use this shock for the time being. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this all back apart again, and then we're gonna put it all back together and show you guys kind of how to do it from a bare frame with the parts sitting here and put this whole thing together. All right. We're gonna go over the tools you guys need. You're gonna ask, why on earth would you use a 3/16? Well, my machinist said the thread pitch on the Allens for the motor mount is gonna be way stronger in standard versus metric because of the limitations of the dimensions on the mount. So 3/16 Allen, you can use a socket, you could use one of these T-handles, whichever works for you. You have an 8mm Allen, 4mm, 12mm socket, 14mm socket, 17mm wrench. It would help to have 2, not necessary. 10mm wrench, good luck finding that one. And then I also have my personal selection of requirements: lemon head, gum, Zot, Smarties. Smarties taste like crap, so those go right in the garbage. I'm gonna keep these for later.
Wait a minute. Oh man.
So yeah, first thing you want to do is start with the lemon head to clear your mind. This is sticky. This looks like it got warm. Was this in Paul's pocket? Paul?
I think Paul did something
He's
else
like a
to it.
chicken. He's sitting on the egg, getting it warm. That's good. How I would lay this out, I'd start with your shock on the motor. It's just easier. So get your motor out in front of you, your shock on it here. Your bolt can be loose. This is your stock motor sleeve that's got 2 C-clips on it. You won't need to take this out. This can stay in, okay? So you need to have this in for sure. First thing I would do with this, I'm just gonna lay it out This arm goes on this side, this one on this side. These don't need to be here. And then you've got your bolt here for this guy. So first thing I would do, take this mount, set it right up here like this. You're gonna take this and it's gonna go in this direction all the way through. But you wanna take this guy here. So right now the C-clips are out. That's why it's moving back and forth. You can set that up in there. Slide it through. That's really the hardest part, honestly, is doing that portion of it. So slide it through and see now I've got this gap left here. You're gonna take this arm. It's gonna fit ever so perfectly in there. Slide this through just like that. Now everything will just rest there. And I always just put a nut and the cotter on that side, thread this on. And you don't need to do this right now, but I like to do it just so you don't lose parts. So now you kind of have this is the bulk of the mount put together right now. You can snug these up if you want. Right here, I just snugged them up so they weren't moving around. So you can snug these little bolts up here. This can just stay, I just do this finger tight. Make sure you double check everything, of course, before you put this together and go riding off in the sunset. But right now I only have 3 Allens in here, just because we don't need to show you guys taking out all 6, but clearly you need to have all 6 installed. If you're not mechanically inclined, don't use an impact on these things. Just turn them in by hand. Don't use power tools. It's just with aluminum, it's always best to use hand tools, my personal opinion. So set your hardware over there, roll this guy back like so, take this, set it down somewhere where it's gonna be easy for you to get to. And then we're gonna take the frame, this guy here, and then we're gonna get this thing all mocked up. So you've got your frame. Obviously your whole bike's gonna be put together. It's a little bit different because we don't have a bike over here. You're gonna take this shock mount here. Remember, you've got the bolt in the back here. You're gonna lift it up, install it into the frame like so. This one obviously has been painted who knows how many times. It's a little bit thicker. It's a little bit tight. You just kind of work it back and forth like so and go right on. So I'm just gonna, this is gonna be the same as your stock mount here, your stock bolt. This thing where it fits good, just like so. But right now, I'm just gonna do that just hand tight because it doesn't need to be tightened down quite yet. So that completes the back end of the kit for the shock. Obviously everything's loose, but that's just how it goes together. Very simple. So now you're ready to bolt the engine into the frame.
Hi, Paul.
So again, it's a little more difficult because we don't have the front of the bike, but you're just gonna get the motor up under the bike. You're gonna swing this mount up. It's just gonna grab onto the frame like so. You're gonna leave this kind of loose because you're gonna make some adjustments to get the motor centered in the bike. Just get it where it's flush. Take your back half, install it like so. For now, we're just gonna throw 3 of our Allens in here. And don't be super concerned about how square it is with the wheel, your alignment, anything like that, because you can always make some adjustments later. So I just like to get this loose. Just get this guy on loose. You can still kind of move it from side to side. Now what I like to do is I like to get this part centered based off the shock. So take your back bolt out here, take your shock, swing it up. Easy. And by looking at this now, I can see the motor needs to go over, and the motor needs to go over that direction. So I'm just gonna take it and just kind of slowly just walk it over a little bit until you can eyeball it, get measurements, whatever you want. But I'll just kind of get it to where it's somewhat close, okay? So now you can take this and snug this up a little bit, but it's still good to keep it somewhat loose. So now you've got this part in loose, but snug, this part, in here. So now what you're left to do up front is you're gonna have 2 of these puppies here. You're gonna have 2 frame caps, one on this side, one on this side. You just pop that off. It's a little plastic cover. That'll go away. I'm gonna take this Allen, shove it in like so. So now you can see the motor needs to go back because it's not lining up. So you're gonna take this, push it back a little bit, put some pressure on that bolt. You're gonna wanna put 2 washers in here. There it goes. There's 2 washers on the inside, 1 there, and then you're gonna get your nylock 17 millimeter here. And obviously you're gonna wanna tighten that down, but don't do it yet. Take your other one, repeat it on the other side. Tighten everything down. That's it. So pretty simple. As you guys see, it took all of, I don't know, 10 minutes probably, 10, 15 minutes to put everything together. You know, another way to see if your motor's straight is if you kind of get down here on top of the bike and you follow this frame line. It's kind of hard to see in the camera with this line here. If you see it shifted one way or the other, you need to take that mount and shift it one way or the other, that direction or this direction. Again, not a big deal. It's going to be aesthetic, but obviously you want to have this motor as straight as you can. So use this line here and this edge here for judgment on both sides to make sure that your motor's not pivoted, twisted, or shifted one way over to the left, to the right. And then I always like to come to the back as well. Take a look to make sure that your shock is parallel and not pushed one way or the other. It's really common. You guys will see a lot of these GY6s. It's super common. They're like an inch off to the left, or an inch off to the right. The shock's crooked. You've got a little bit of room here for some play, so if you want to space it one way or the other, but you should be able to get this thing dialed in absolutely perfect with the adjustments that are allowed with the mount itself, with the washers and moving it back and forth. That's it. So tighten everything down, put your bike together. Also, we have some mounting holes here. If you guys want to mount a Mikuni pump, you're going to do like a Mikuni style pump, you want to do a coil, if you want to run your hoses and lines, install some clips or something here. So just another added extra thing if you guys want to make it a little bit cleaner. And we make some accessories that bolt to this as well too, if you guys want to have a spot for mounting other things. So pretty sweet.
Hey Paul, you got anything to add?
No, I mean, we're expecting anything different.
All right.
So
cool.
yeah,
well,
pretty
thanks.
cool.